Hello and welcome back to the Game Pit. This is episode 157 and we're back to our review format. Ronan, it's another Pit Spit. I still don't like the name.
It was funny the first 10 times. I'm moving past it now. What are we going to call them?
Oh, God knows. No,
exactly. So you got nothing else, see? You're a contrarian. You don't like what I've proposed, but you haven't got anything else to go with it. I don't like that.
I did have things. I've forgotten them now.
Pit patter.
No, that's the baby games. Pitter patter.
Awful. Okay.
Wonderful.
Hey everyone, you're very welcome back to the Game Pit. Yes, we are back to reviewing after Mr. Hughes joined us last time round. We have got 8 games, Sean, ready to pick apart, ranging from family to in-depth, I would say.
Indeed, yeah, and quite a lot of Cult of the New-ish. From the last year or so. Well, there's a couple that go straight outside that.
End of last year.
Yeah.
It's like, there's been a lot of games come out since we decided to review these. So those real hotnesses are coming in the next reviews. These ones are like clearing up from the end of last year a bit. A few things that tinkled our dinkles.
Tinkled our dinkles, yes, indeed.
That's a saying now. Good. Let's kick in. Our first one is something we teased and toyed and tiptoed around last time is Bonfire from Stefan Feld. It's from Hall Games and Pegasus Spiel, 1 to 4 players, 90 minutes to 2 hours. And I've got a new feature, Sean. The depth rating on BGG is 3.58. Saying medium to heavy, I'd suggest.
Indeed.
Indeed, there you go. Theme. Gnomes.
Yeah. This is one of the things, Ronan, that I'm going to say is a tad confusing about this game.
One of the
Just one of the things. Okay. This is number one in the confusing amateur.
Okay. Some sort of gnomes. We've got to visit islands. There's guardians. We've got to do offerings.
The light's gone out in the world, or the lights or the bonfires that power the world or do something.
You've gone too deep already. Okay. There are paths the guardians walk along and there are bonfires. Yeah. Yeah?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. Okay, I don't know where it came from. It doesn't help you understand the game. I'm not sure anything helps you understand the game initially.
But it's such a weird theme to add on to it. Like, where did it come from? I'd like to know where.
You'd like to gnome. Okay, how does it actually work? So, the central mechanism is there are 3 actions you can take in your turn. You take one of these actions, and the first one is what I'll call the central mechanism around which everything else swims, is that you have a column of action tiles. Those action tiles have got 3 squares on them, and they're squares of various colours, and they're linked to the various actions you can take in the game. When you are low on action tiles remaining in your pool, you take what either the top or the bottom from your personal column of action tiles, and you place it onto a grid in front of you. And you're filling the grid in with these little strips. When you place, though, you're going to collect as many action tiles as the areas of the colours you've just placed down. So if I place a red next to 2 other reds, I'll collect 3 red action tiles, not just the 1 for the strip I've just placed, and so on. So you're trying to create a clever area, little tiny mini game to allow you to maximise the number of action tiles you can take. But the way that those 3 colours are set up on the different strips, Sean, means that you always have to prioritise certain colours over other ones, and that is a large part for me of the strategy behind whatever strategy there is in this puzzle aspect that drives the whole game.
It goes back to what I was saying about the Feld games in our last episode, Ronan. He likes to get that one sort of mechanism that drives the rest of the game. This one, for me, wasn't the most interesting one that he's done. I'm not saying that the ones he usually does, like the Mancala in I can't remember the game.
Trajan, you can't forget it. You can't forget Trajan.
No, I can't forget it. And the planning of the computer in Aquasphere. Oh, what an Aquasphere!
Thanks. Trademark. Yeah,
trademark.
Good. Thanks.
And this one wasn't the most interesting. Also, because you've got a lineup of these strips, yeah, and you can only take the top or the bottom.
As I said,
yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Though you kind of
emphasise his emphasis. You didn't hold up your emphasis side.
I didn't. You are limited, so I think that takes away some of the agony of choice, and therefore.
But you can look ahead and look at how you're, because you randomise how your strips are laid out, and you can look at it and start planning ahead and making your pattern in forehand and say, I'm never going to get loads of reds. So that can't be my strategy this game, but it does look like I can get loads of, I don't know, whatever, blues, whatever. And I'll tell you what all these different colours do. But I think familiarity with the game allows that part to feel more strategic.
Yeah, possibly, but I still think you're slightly hampered, and it doesn't have the.
Oh, you
freedom.
are hampered. No, yeah.
It doesn't have the freedom of some of the other mechanisms that it uses.
But to me, lack of freedom runs throughout the whole game. And there's something I'm going to come back to that I keep saying it's tight, it's restricted, apart from one bit that sort of blows it wide open. So rather than teasing around what we're talking about, the second action you can do on your turn, you can place the action strip as the first one, you can use the action tiles you have. So there are islands and you have a boat and you can sail around. And to sail around, because you one of your blue tiles, to move one island along, or two to move two, or three to move anywhere. Now, on these islands, there are these offering tiles which you can collect, as we'll see later on, or there are guardians you collect. But the ability to get around the place, Sean, back to what I just said, very tight, very restricted. You almost have to plot your path beforehand before you really know how the game's going to go for you.
Yeah, you certainly have to target certain islands, certain areas, whether you're going for the guardians and what colour guardians you're going for, where you think you can score, because the scoring on the islands is a big part of it. You're getting the disc and you're putting them onto your player board to score later. So, yeah, it's obviously a massive part where you do have to plan ahead and think about what you're doing. There's not a lot of scope for just sort of landing in a place and going, I'll wing it, I'll take that and see where it gets me.
It's the second part for me of the game that adds the strategy. The rest of it to me is very tactical. The problem for me with trying to be strategic in that ship movement is that you don't know exactly what's going to come your way. And it's very hard then to react to the randomness that happens in the game, which we're going to see as we come up. So,
sorry, you're pulling a lot of things together. And it's very hard to keep them all in your head to say, right, okay, this is the optimum move for me right now, because you're thinking about, okay, what's the next strip that's going to come out? What am I going to get a lot of actions in? What am I going to score? How far along the path are my guardians? What colour guardian do I need next? Where are the scoring tokens? So there's so much going on.
So let's talk through the other actions quickly, because I think we're talking about guardians and path and stuff. It's not going to make too much sense till we whiz through them, all right?
Yep.
So the guardians, they're in the four corners, makes it very difficult to get to. There are four different colours. Every person can only have one of each colour plus one of your own colour. So when you go to these islands, when you use guardian tiles, you can either recruit a guardian to come and sit on your board, or you can move your guardians around a path. Now, the path you have to forge yourself. There's only one link on it. Another thing you do is that you get these path tiles, green path tiles, and you can spend those as an action to grab one of four paths and lay them around. And there are two things on these paths. One is there's a resource. Now, when you use your guardian tiles to move your guardian around the path, you can collect one of those resources of whatever type it is, and there's 6 of them in the game. Or there's a colour, and you're trying to match the colour of the path to the colour of the tile that Sean was talking about, the offerings that you're collecting, the other thing you can collect from the islands. But you don't know what paths are going to be available to you, especially if you're playing with more than 2 players. Those paths rotate because everyone's going to grab 6 or 7 of them, and therefore you don't know what resources you're going to get, so it's hard to plan what offerings you're going to get. And it's the way that all links together is what adds, I think, to the confusion, because you can't see too far ahead despite the fact the game's asking you to.
Yeah, I actually disagree with you slightly there, Ronan, in that the paths themselves, I think there's enough out there and there's enough sort of rotation of them that you can generally get the colour you want. It's very rare that you're denied one of the 3 colours.
My thing with it is that, especially when you go around a bit, because the first 3 path tiles you take only cost you 1 tile. The second path tiles cost you 2 tiles. You cannot reset your action tiles unless you have 3 or fewer. So if you're hanging on to 2 garden tiles in order to wait for a particular one to come out that's going to fit your plan, you're then really restricted. You have to completely rinse your hand out before you can reset and grab more. And it's kind of that frustration of, I think, to me, a lot of time people just end up grabbing any old path. But maybe that's just the way I play the game. Okay. I'm talking about all this tightness. There are offerings that you take. This is the links to the resources you have, or having certain colours of guardians. And they go in and they become your bonfires. And they sit there until you are ready to claim them, which is the third action. before we get on to that, there are two other things I want to go over quickly. There is a cards action. There are two different types of cards that you can recruit. One of those sets of cards, they rotate all the time. When you take one, it refills, and they give you special powers for the whole game. The other type, there are a set number of them, and when you take them, they're gone, and they just score you points immediately. And they're the only immediate points in the whole game. And it's nice to have the individual powers, I guess, but it always felt like a throwaway action to me.
It felt like a throwaway action unless there was an absolute obvious, that's a great power. And they turn up every now and again, and the person who gets them... If
it's early in the game.
Yeah, and then the person who gets them, I think, has a big, big step up in terms of where they're going and what they're going to maximise. So there's one that, when you go around the bonfire, you take tokens. You can take a resource. You can take a...
Okay, so go around the bonfire is the last action we're going to go over.
Right, okay.
There are bonfire tokens.
Yeah.
When you spend them, you spin a bonfire in the middle of the board, and that gives you the flexibility, because by spending bonfire tokens, you can collect other action tokens.
Yeah.
Or you can collect a resource that maybe you can't get from your path. Or there are these portals you can get. They're in 7 different shapes. Everyone's board is different as to what portals you need. Now, the portals start on the right side of your board and work anti-clockwise back around to the left, and the path starts on the left side of the board and works clockwise around to the right. And when you move your guidons along the path, as well as collecting resources as they go, also you can move them across onto a completed task that you've done to score points at the end of the game, as long as you have a portal in the right place. And if you match up the colour of the path to the colour of the offer in the bonfire, you're also going to score. But Sean, I'm confusing myself.
Well, this is it. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to follow what you're saying.
Yeah, I know.
And for once, I'm actually listening to you, and I'm really thinking about it. And you're confusing me. And I've played the game, and I'm like, okay, because I kept trying to jump ahead onto the bonfire. Ronan's going to cut it all out, but I kept trying, because I thought he'd started talking about it. It's so hard. There's so much going on. The game is just really, really confusing. But what I do like, Ronan, I do like that you're going from left to right with the portals and right to left with the paths, and you kind of really have to think about...
I mean, it's the other way around, but you confuse yourself there, but sure.
Whatever, yeah. That's right, yeah. I even did the action and I did it wrong. I said it wrong. But yeah, so you really have to think about matching those two, and you can't go too heavy one, because you're just not going to get the crossover points, and not going to get your guardians onto the bonfires to score extra points. Oh, so much going on.
Yeah, we need to stop talking about mechanisms. There's too many.
Yeah, there really is.
There's a couple of other things you can do though. So, in theory, to me, when you start playing the game, there are all these tasks laid out on these islands, and you've got this boat, and part of it is to drive off and grab these tasks, and they become your bonfires, and your guardians score points. You score points for doing them. It should be a driving part of the game. That's what it feels like when you first start playing for a normal Euro. Is it, Sean?
No. It's an interesting part of the game, but it's not Feld at his absolute best. It's not clever enough to be a great Feld, and it's a little bit convoluted. And
like that word.
Convoluted. It's a little bit convoluted, and it's hard to remember. It's hard to sort of keep focus on it, because you've got so much else to think about. And I think that's where, I'm not saying this is a bad game, but it's where it kind of fell down from the top Feld games for me.
Well, that sounds like a bit of a summing up to me. I've written it down here. I enjoy it, but it's in the bottom half of Feld's for me.
Yeah, I think he threw too much at this one. I think he had 2 or 3 game ideas in there, and he just kind of chucked them all in to see what stuck. And that's what it feels like. And the only reason it kind of hangs around in the memory is because how confusing it was, and how hard it is to remember.
You've had to think so hard to work it out that it's still stuck in your brain. It's like something you studied for. It's like you remember it in 20 years' time. Oh yeah, I know how this works. It took me a long time to get there.
And the rule book is okay. The rule book's okay, but it's such a confusing game. I watched the video before looking at the rule book, and I was still confused.
Yeah, I was confused reading through the rulebook first time, and then after one play, it clicked into place, but it wasn't the easiest, but the rulebook was fine, you're right. What I'm going to say is that I think that central mechanism is interesting, and I said it last time, I wish he had taken more of a Year of the Dragon approach to this, and built a 60-minute game around the central mechanism of the action selection. Instead, he's just poured mechanism upon mechanism on top of it. The system itself restricts you at every stage, and then the game feels like it pours treacle on top of it because everything's difficult, but everything's difficult in a different way, and nothing's easy to do, and nothing feels satisfying to me. There's things where if you achieve a certain thing, like you get all your portals or you pass your first one, you get to put a dude into a council. Now, whenever you achieve a score or a bonfire, you get to put a dude into council that are separate places. That gives you extra powers. They can give you an edge. They're good. However, with these neutral ones, if you're the first one to do it, you get to go back into the place you've already been, which will give you another edge. It's very important to think about, but it's a very small part of a game. But the edges that you get like that are really important. I think there's just too many fiddles going on. Even if there'd been one island of the Guardians in the middle of the map, and if you chose to go back there and choose a colour and take it off, but to have them split into the four corners, they're almost impossible to get to.
Yeah. Very,
very difficult. So you have to use the either powers of a card or the powers of the council in order to fill for your full Guardian. So you're kind of locked into certain strategies, but fiddly, roundabout, maze-like ways to get to where you need to go.
What it feels like to me is that Stefan Feld intended you to pick one or two main strategies out of this sort of plethora of strategies and tactics you can use in the game, and all these mechanisms and all these sub-games. Felt like he intended you to just take one or two and keep it quite simple and streamlined for yourself. But that central mechanism, by its very nature, has other actions in it. So I might be going for the purple, which gives you lots of movement on the central bonfire. I might want to chain a load of those together, but just by having two other icons on there, I'm going to chain other things. And it felt like the game almost set me up to go down 2 or 3 or 4 different routes.
Oh, so I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
I think as a player, you want to go down 1 or 2 routes and you want to specialise because you feel like that's the best way of doing it. But the game and design forces you to do a bit of everything, which is why it becomes frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you end up having to do things that you don't want to do.
I think we're saying the same thing, but
I think it was deliberate. You're saying like you did.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
I think he's made you do that in the way that everything interlocks so much that you have to get the portals, to use the path, to use the guardians, to score the bonfires and get more points. I think he's locked it in too much, so it's too locked together.
Yeah, so we got the same opinion, but we just think Mr. Feld's head was in different spaces.
We've sailed around the island slightly differently. Yeah. So this isn't my sort of a thinky Euro. I actually thought it was more your sort of a one. You are more of a fan of multiple step things to score points in various ways. I would prefer there to be a clever mechanism with interesting scoring. So I'm quite surprised, actually. I thought you'd like this more. I thought it might have been in your top 5.
I don't mind it. I will play it. But I just think there's just too much going on for me. And it kind of drips into the side of not being fun and being too thinky and too daunting to even just start a game. Where do you start? Like, I wouldn't know. If you brought it out again now, I'd be like, I don't know what to do.
I got that from the way you try to explain it. I agree with you without being quite as negative as that. I still think it's a good game. Just if I was going to pick a Feld to do, and it gives me a similar feel to these more complicated ones, I'd pick a different one. If someone else had the want to play it, I'd happily do it. And after several games, I'd almost be able to maybe teach it for another week before it. It's burned. It's seared in there. I will be able to teach this game for a while. Okay. Bonfire. We said last time, would this be a return to form for Feld up to the very peak of design? And for me and you and in general, I don't think it is. It's too fiddly. No,
definitely not one of his better games.
Okay. Here's another couple of classic designers, Sean, who have made a splash in Paris.
Yes, it is Paris or Paris. It came out in 2020. It's 2 to 4 player game, and the designers that wrote in talking about are Michael Kiesling and Wolfgang Kramer, and the game came from Game Brewer this time. So the theme of this is that you are real estate investors in 1900s Paris, and you're investing in the new buildings and the landmark and the general sort of ambiance of the city itself. On your turn, you quite simply you've got a bunch of keys behind your screen, and everyone keeps all their components and their resources secret. And you're going to place a key into a neighbourhood, or if you've already got a key in the neighbourhood that you want to influence, you're going to move one of your key onto a building site on that's drawn from a bag. So you can't just place them on any building site; it has to be one that's already drawn. And these buildings are numbered from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8. And these are effectively area control points for the end of the game. And that's one of the ways, or the main way, you're really going to sort of drive home to score points in this game is by moving your keys onto these area control points. There are other things that they do. Some of them will allow you to go around a track, around the outside of the board. It's one of those push your luck mechanisms where you can go as far as you want, but you can never go backwards. So it's always all boons and ways to break the rules and do slightly different things, and to get different scoring and what have you. And lastly, you can bring a monument into play, which is additional to the board, and you can bring it into a neighbourhood, and that gives you even more area control points. Quite a simple teach, this one, Ronan, but I think it was more, and I'm saying it was better than we thought it was going to be, but it's certainly more than the sum of its parts in terms of the tactics and strategy that was needed to win it.
Yeah, one of those that you read the rule book or you learn how to play and you go, is that it? And then you start playing and you go, oh, is this it?
So yeah, you start looking at, so there's various areas. I think there's 8 of districts in Paris, and it's what area do you want to go in? Are the players going to challenge you going into that area? And I think that's a key component of whether this game is going to appeal to you or not. It can be quite combative, but it can also be quite nice depending on the type of players you're playing with.
I think that if you play quite nice, you let people get set up and it's going to be a lesser experience.
Yeah.
Like all area majority games, it is naturally combative and you have to go in against each other. Now, it does give structure to that, so it's not willy-nilly, it's not wild. You have to follow in where there is a building. Buildings can be blocked by other players. And one of everything's off it is that every time you move off a building, you're possibly opening that up for other players to step into. Another thing that removes some of the chaotic element you get in a lot of area majorities is that because the key has to be moved to the district first, you know who is valid to jump in when you move. It's not just I come out of here and anyone can jump in there. It's always sort of one step ahead, and you can see where things are going. Although there's slight areas for surprise moves, generally the pattern unfolds, but quickly though, because it is a quick game.
Well, I probably haven't described very well. You're not just leaping into an area and choosing a number to go on. You've got to pay for it, Ronan. And money is very scarce in this game. But one of the things they do allow you to do is deduct the amount of the tile that you're on. So if I'm going from the 5 to the 8, I don't pay the full 8. I pay 3 because it's the difference from 5 to 8. But as I said, money is incredibly tight in this game. You've really got to pick and choose where you go.
When you invest in an area, you're literally invested in that area. Yeah. And again, it makes it more than sort of I'll throw a cube in there just to sort of be present and hopefully scab the third place points. Everything costs me something, which adds a little bit of weight to very simple decisions.
Yeah, and I mentioned strategy and tactics. I think it's quite difficult to be strategical in this game. Strategic? Is that
strategical or monocle?
Whatever.
Yeah.
One of those.
Any of them.
It's quite difficult to play strategically in that you've got to kind of react to what other players are doing. So if you think you've got an area sewn up and then somebody else makes a move for it, you've got to be able to react. You've got to be flexible, and you've got to sort of have plan A, B, and C.
Now, yes, in the first half of the game. And that is where we start coming across one of the first problems with it, is that in the first half I felt like I was watching like a hawk, I was reacting, I was deciding, I hadn't fully invested. One of the problems I had with Paris was that as it developed onwards, I was more locked in. And then that flexibility went and my strategy was set. And now the only way I have to maximise what I'm doing, because I am investing in certain areas, is to make sure I'm getting enough stuff to get those monuments out. And in order to do so, there's then only 1 or 2 valid routes for me to go down. And I felt like the decision space really, really narrowed to a point at the end and then got drawn out for a long time.
I will concur with that. It definitely was more tactical at the beginning, because once you are ensconced in a district, you could pretty much have it locked up and that nobody else can really touch you in it. Now, one of the reasons why you might not jump straight to the 8, so spend all your money, go straight to the 8, get those area control points locked in, is that the 1, 2 and 3 buildings offer you a chance on that outer track that I mentioned, Ronan. How much of a difference did you feel that track made? What did it entice you to go out to it, or did you just feel most of the scoring was just in the area control?
No, yeah, very clever. And I think it worked very well. And what that did was it set that pacing for the first half, because you did want to go on the outside track. There's some very juicy stuff on there. There's bonuses. There might be the resources or the money that you're going to need to really finalise your moves. So therefore, it does set that sort of tactical thing off. Just because Sean's keys in that area doesn't mean he's jumping in on the 6 and he's grabbing hold of it. He might be desperate for that bit of wood he can get from the 1 or whatever it might be. And I really thought that track and the fact you only get it from small investments was a very, very clever way to produce the gradual stepping up and competition and to draw the competition out in each area, but in a very good way.
In terms of actual end-game scoring, I didn't manage it, but I think there is a path to victory on that outside track and not maybe concentrating as much on the area control. There's definitely points to be earned.
Nah, I'm not having this path to victory, though. I think you're looking for the edge out there, but I don't think you can win the game just by playing well on that track. But it can make the difference in a tight game for sure.
Cool, right. One of my issues with it, Ronan, is that, and I think it's a good game. I really enjoyed my first few games of it, but then I hit a bit of a stumbling block in that games 1, 2, and 3 were exactly the same as games 3, 4, and 5.
Well, 3 will be
3, 4.
the
Well, 3. I played 3
would be
twice.
the same as 3.
Yeah.
Okay,
I played 3 twice.
Right, got that.
It should be known I've just come off a 12-hour early. I'm very tired. There's going to be a lot of mistakes. So 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, right, okay, you did that as well. How were they close to 3, 3, and 1?
Well, 3, 3, and 1. And 1, I liked it so much I played it 3 times.
Okay, I got that.
Right, I've got that, yeah.
1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3. Shut up.
It really didn't differ enough. No, I've only played it 2-player and 3-player. I think it works fine at both player counts. 3-player better because there's more interaction, there's more sort of vying for the districts. But yeah, they didn't change enough for me, Ronan. Number 1 game was pretty much the same as number 6
Which
game.
number 1 game?
Well, middle one.
Okay.
Middle one was just
okay.
All the ones were just the same as number 6 game. And because they were the ones I played 2-player.
You should labour this point a bit further.
I know, I should.
Okay.
But there you go. Yeah, it didn't change. It's very samey, Ronan.
You could have just said that. Okay. Yes, but that comes, I think, from playing it 2-player so much. I don't think that's the best way to play it. I think you need the competition of at least 3. You need the unusual moves. In a game like this, some games work 2-player because you can explore different areas. In this, I feel like that without that challenge, without that third wheel, without the unexpected happening, you will just get into roach. You'll lock up areas more easily. You'll be less challenged on the track around the outside, and the whole thing will fall a bit flatter.
I actually played this more 3-player than I did 2-player. Mr. Jude came round. Even those ones between himself and myself and Nat and me, you and Rachel, it didn't feel different, mate. It just felt like going around the same streets and sitting in the same cafes and looking at the same monuments in Paris.
See, I like that we're talking about going to the cafes, all right? Because I feel like that we really haven't mentioned the actual most salient point when it comes to reviewing Paris. Because you sit down in a cafe, be it in Paris or anywhere else, and you get poured a nice cold pint of Guinness, Sean, right? And you let it settle for a while because you're not a Philistine. And then you start having a schluck, you're like, oh, I needed this lovely pint of Guinness. This is really, really nice. Oh, I'm enjoying it even more. And then you get about a third of it left, and you start going like, tastes a bit funny. Did I not brush my teeth? Or is lunch? And then you get down to the bottom bit, and you find a cigarette butt in the bottom of it. And you're like, oh.
Did this game have a cigarette butt for you?
I remember enjoying the first 2/3 of this point, but it's been ruined by the fact that the end game sucks.
Oh, God, you know what? I'd forgotten.
I wonder why you hadn't written it down.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten.
Well, you're the best reviewer in the world.
Oh, yeah. The end game just drags. They've made an end game that just lasts forever.
So there's tokens that only become available once all the tiles have been played out.
Yeah, all the buildings.
And that's the end game trigger. So when people have taken all of those tiles, that's when the game's going to end. Now, no one knows exactly who's going to win, and everyone feels like they can score a few more points here and a few more points there. So the taking of the tokens, although they can help you in certain steps, they're not all going to get taken quickly. And even if you do finish, you think, well, I'm done doing points, you're then just taking a token on your turn for no use. While you wait for other people to do things, and there's a bit of working out, and they've got slightly longer turns where they do a bit of this, a bit of that, and I'll build that monument, or can I jump in? And they're reacting to each other a little bit, and you're there like, I'm just going to take one tile on my turn and sit for another 3 minutes.
That's it, yeah, because if you think you're going to win that game, you want the game to end as quickly as possible. And it's very laborious. I'll take a token. There's still 9 left. Well, we've got lots to do. Okay, we've done our bit. I'll take a token. There's 8 left. But we've got lots to do. Oh, my God, just end, please.
So this, to me, was the whole key to Paris.
Oh.
Really enjoyable, surprisingly enjoyable first 2/3. Died on its absolute behind in the final third, which means that I am not keen to get it to the table again. Not my favourite Kiesling and Kramer by a long way.
Yeah, for me to get it to the table again, it would have to be house ruled. What we didn't mention is the beautiful production, Ronan. Absolutely stunning. The artwork, the components, all really, really nice.
All right.
Oh, I thought it was beautiful. But anyway, regardless, I think I own the game. It was me that bought it, and I brought it around to Ronan. And I think I'm done. I'm having a game sale soon, and I think it's going to be part of that game sale, Ronan. I did enjoy it.
Available soon from Sean. It's amazing.
Yeah. Watch out in February. Massive game sale. I wish I liked it more and continue to like it, but it's just not for me anymore. A bit samey. That end game ruined it. It would have to be house ruled. And Paris, close, but no cigar.
More Saint-Denis.
Maybe more Saint-Denis.
Close to Paris. Did you like that?
Yeah.
Okay, good, all right. Calico. By Kevin Russ. By Flat Out Games. 1 to 4 players, 45 minutes. A 2.16, Sean, on the BGG scale, which is a light medium.
No.
You ain't having that?
Not having that.
Light medium rules.
Light medium rules?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go on from there. Okay. Now, Sean is so excited about this game, even though it's my game to introduce. I don't know whether you want to go first or you want me to just... Do you want to go? Because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to contain you.
So, well, tell them roughly what it's about.
Well, so you want me to go? I'll just double check it.
I
didn't know. I know you're going to jump in. I didn't know what point you wanted to jump in. Right. It's a tile laying game. There are tiles of 6 colours and 6 different designs. So there's 3 of each type. So there's 3 green stripes, 3 green dots, 3 green flowers, whatever you want to call them. But there's 3 of each of 6. Yeah, there's 36 different things and there's 3 of each. Right, you got it. Good. Amazing. You have a board. The board is already edged with tiles and half tiles. And unusually in a game like this, they count as part of the game. You can build off them. And during the course of the game, you are going to fill the 22 spaces left on your board with these tiles in order to score points. It's as simple as that, 22 turns. The way it works is you have 2 tiles drawn randomly in your hand, and you're going to play one of those tiles down onto your board anywhere you like. It doesn't have to be adjacent to anything, you can do it wherever, and then you're going to draft another tile into your hand from the 3 available. And there are various ways of scoring from there. The way you score, the most basic one is if you get 3 tiles of the same colour or more in a pattern, you get a button for that, and that's a simple 3 points at the end of the game. There are also cats available. Cats like patterns, buttons like colours. Now, there are basic cats, there's a few in the box, and they want various things, but they basically want either a certain number off a pattern to be all together, and they're going to give you a cat to come and lie on it and give you some points, or they want a specific shape. Now, the patterns they want vary from game to game. They get set up with a random draw. So one cat might want 4 dots to all be together, and they'll come and lie on your quilt and give you points. Another one might want 3 lines in a straight line. Lines in a straight line? I said that poorly. Let's go 3 flowers in a straight line. That'll be better. And then they'll come and lie on your quilt. So you're looking to get the colours together. You're looking to get the patterns together. But here is the kicker. For every game, there are 3 scoring tiles out of 6, and they get placed in 3 spots on your board, which are set, but the scoring tiles you get once you're used to the game are randomised. They will score for you in certain patterns.
Are we calling them scoring tiles? I think we should be calling them little bastards.
So, they might say something like AA, BB, CC, meaning if you get 2 of one colour, 2 of another colour, 2 of another colour, you'll get points. Alternatively, if you get 2 of one pattern, 2 of another pattern, 2 of another pattern, and there's 6 spaces around it, you'll get the same number of points. If you get both, which you'll try to do, you'll get a few more points for doing it. Once everyone's placed their 22 tiles down, you're going to add up your points for your cats, for your patterns, for your buttons, for your colours, and your scoring tiles for whatever you've managed to get around them. And whoever scored the most points is the winner. It's very simple to explain, Sean. A nice, cute, lovely little tile layer with very few rules. What did you think when I first explained the game to you?
Well, let's go back a little step, right?
Oh, do we have to? Okay.
We have to go back. I was not looking forward to playing this. I heard it was good. I don't know if it was in Kickstarter or wherever, but wherever I first saw it, I saw the picture of the cat on the front, and I thought, someone's tried to copy Patchwork. And yeah, I was not interested. We played another game when we had our little game day, and you brought Calico out, and I objected. I said, "No, can we not just play something else? I'm not fussed about this one, man."
I said, "No."
You said no. We're reviewing.
You're not
it.
a guest in this house. You'll do as you're told.
You said we're reviewing it. Give it a go. It'll only last 20 minutes or so. And so begrudgingly, I started playing, and within 2 minutes in...
Two minutes?
Maybe not even.
Yeah.
When my second tile had to be placed, basically, I was like, oh my God, there's so much to think about. And on the base of it, you've got 3 tiles to choose from, and then you're drawing another tile from a bag to replace them.
Yeah, the drafting. Yeah, you're talking about the drafting rather than actually what you're playing.
Yeah.
Which one to draft into your hand?
Yes.
Oh.
So you've got 3 things you're going to do on your turn. You're playing one of the 2 tiles that you have in your hand into the most optimum place, and there are many optimum places.
Or are there?
Or are there? And then you have a choice of 3 from the middle of the table. Agonising choices, usually. Very rarely, it's weird, it's very rarely that you go, yeah, well, that's the obvious one, because they all do good for you. And then the last one, which is the worst, especially near the end of the game, Ronan, when you need something desperately to turn up, you're dipping into the bag and bringing out a wild...
Don't take that one! Don't take that one!
And everyone knows what you're after. Everyone knows that Sean needed the blue stripe.
It's very easy to read each other's board and be like, oh, you've planned for something perfect right there.
Yeah.
Rachel needed a tile. Literally, the last 2 draws to score 17 points last time I played. And that's a quarter of your points, basically. But if I got it, I'd scored 10 points. And lo and behold, I got it. The screeching.
And that's it. And that's the beauty of the game, is every choice matters not only to you, but to everyone. Because everyone wants to see what one you're going to take and how that affects their plans. Everyone wants to see what tile you're going to draw out of the bag and how that affects their plans. Nobody is head down on this one thinking about their next go, because everyone is interested in your go. And that's the beauty of it. I've written down a comment here that I can't say, Ronan.
I can read it though. A head what? Your head got stuck?
Yeah, head stuck.
Yeah, head stuck. That's what it sounds. Yeah, okay, good.
Sorry, I haven't let you speak.
So, what I think you're talking about there, because there's only 3 of each colour. Let's say, for example, Sean has used 2 pink dot tiles. There's only 1 left in that bag. It may not come out. In a 4-player game, it's likely to. Fewer than that, it's not likely to. That then affects how I build my patterns, because I can't rely on getting a pink dot out, so I should be thinking around that. And then you start overthinking. But the level of rules to the thinkiness and fun is into the realms of board game genius.
It's getting there. It's absolutely getting up there, and yeah, he's trying to chain the different scoring together. So he's trying to make it so that you're going around one of the scoring things that says you need three of each colour and three of each colour or what have you, and trying to make those colours that be next to each other so you get on the button, or try and make
because they
pattern.
interlock.
Yeah.
There's like they share one or two spaces with each other, so you have to, when you're building one, you have to think about how that's going to affect
how
the next
that's
one.
going to affect your other one, and then it's obviously trying to get the patterns in the right space and using the edge of the board as well to add to your patterns, and just so much to think about.
I've only got praise for it. It's a terrible review because I've instant classic is the next thing written down. The game recently that it will remind me of is Azul. Only this has made an even more positive impact in this house than Azul.
I saw people talking about. I think Tom Vassell said that it was an Azul replacement, possibly.
I wouldn't go so far. I really love Azul.
I love.
But in terms of initial impact, this is even more. We've been thinking about this even more.
Yeah, absolutely. For me as well. For me, the game it probably is going to replace is Patchwork. I think it scratches that same itch as Patchwork, placing things and choosing. Yeah, you don't have to think about the shape, but you got to think about the patterns that you're creating. So, yeah, I'm not sure I'd play Patchwork much after this at all. Once I finally get my dirty mitts on a copy, because it is sold out everywhere.
Worldwide sellout. Cannot get hold of it. Okay. Do you want to sum up? That's all I've got left. I'm just heaping praise.
Ronan, there's nothing more to say. It's a great game. Very simple rules. Very deep gameplay and an enjoyable experience all round.
And quick.
Yeah.
So it can be played at any level. You can play it family and just go after like simple things. It can be very, very competitive, and you can really get into it and really fun. There's sort of a dawning realisation on you that as you set your patterns, what it is you're actually trying to do, and then you go into the agony. Do you wait for the perfect tile? Do you compromise? Because when you compromise, you're loosening off other ways you can score on your board. Because you still got to score in the corners. You still got to make your patches of colour. You still got to make your patterns while you're doing these scoring patterns. Because if you don't, you will lose anyway. Like the scoring for those, you need to do the scoring tiles, but they won't win you the game. You have to play well outside them as well. Yeah. And at the point at which you compromise, like I say, you're loosening up. And when you're drafting, you might draft a sub-perfect tile that's more flexible, because I can use it to finish off that area of blue, or it can go in here to help me score partially one of these scoring tiles. And it's constant thoughts to yourself of, I've put myself in this situation, I've got to think my way out of it. Exactly. Calico gets the highest level of recommendation from me. I don't give out 10s until several plays. We are 8 plays into Calico. It's not a 10 yet. It's hard to give me to get a 10, but it's a high 9. Knocking on the door.
Very good. We're going to move on to a Spiel des Jahres, or a Kinderspiel des Jahres.
No, Spiel des Jahres.
Was it a Spiel? Was it a Spiel?
The crew got Kinderspiel. Not Kinder.
No,
Kenner.
No,
this is Spiel.
It's Spiel, yeah? Yeah. Okay, we're showing our vast knowledge of the gaming world.
I've been really busy.
It won something.
Really busy. I'll look it up. Carry on.
It won something, and definitely was either the Spiel or the Kinderspiel. I think it was the Spiel. I think you're right. And Pictures is designed by Christian and Daniela Storr and comes from PD Verlag. Very simply, you've got to guess the pictures your opponents are creating in this game. So you've got a 4x4 grid of pictures with...
Pictures is the Spiel des Jahres winner for 2020.
There you go.
Thanks.
You've got 4x4 grid of pictures, which are basically photos and stock photos of various buildings or animals or what have you, see pictures. And then you've got grid coordinates on the outside. You've got A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, just so people can work out what you're talking about. And on top of that, you've got groups of components that you're going to pass around the table to each other. You've got shoelaces, you've got colour cubes, you've got some sticks and stones that go together, you've got building blocks.
Careful. You break your bones.
Break your bones, yeah. And you've also got icon cards. And what you've got to do is whatever one you're assigned for the round, you're going to draw a token out of a bag. That's going to tell you the grid components that is your picture that you're trying to make with whatever you've got. Everyone else has got to guess it at the end of the round. If you guess someone else's, you get a point. If someone guesses yours, you get a point. Very simple. You just got to be creative with what you've got. It's a very, very simple premise. Reminds me of a lot of other games. Things like Dixit or even Pictionary or Dodals that we've talked about before. Very, very similar to those sorts of games.
I think that this can be a super quick review.
It is going to be.
Okay. Is it inventive enough? Does it give you enough opportunities to have the crack and be a bit left field and be funny? So basically that's what it's going to pitch on, to sit amongst the best in that genre.
Quite simply, no, it doesn't. It's quite clever. It does not replace Dodals, Dixit, or even Pictionary for me, or Telestrations, whatever one you want to go for there. I think it does get very repetitive because you tend to pick multiple of the same picture and you're making the same picture over and over again with different components, which could be interesting, but the photos aren't very inspiring because they're stock photos and they're quite bland and quite boring.
Oh, that's a letdown. Because I want them to be interesting photos so that I have to really stretch myself to represent them in the medium.
There'll be like a tree branch coming across a field or a shack in the woods. Or
Shacks in the woods?
Shacks in the woods.
Is it being policed there?
A boat out at sea.
That's not very exciting.
It's not.
You let me down there.
They are quite boring photos.
I'm gonna flip the paradigm here because I'm about to do it on the next one I review as well. This got Spiel des Jahres. Spiel des Jahres is not for gamers. It is for the mass market. Clearly now, in terms of a mass market game, how does it rate?
I think it rates quite well. It's very accessible. I think it's if you haven't played something like Dodals or Dixit, I think people would say actually it's quite creative and it brings out the creative side of children in that they're trying to make these pictures with different components and they've got to think a little bit different for each one. How am I going to put this together? Some of them are just purely based on colour, like the cubes. Some of them you're actually building physically what's on there, like the blocks. And the shoelaces you're trying to sort of intertwine. And the icon cards themselves, they're the hardest one to use, by the way. You've got to sort of think, right, what icon lends itself to that picture?
It's like concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
is it only for kids? Would you play it adults only?
I wouldn't. I don't think there's enough there for adults. So, whereas, again...
Say it, Dixit or Dodals or...
Yeah, I was going to say the list of games I mentioned before can all be played by adults. I can't see a drunken game of pictures where I can see a drunken game of Dixit.
Well, there you go. That's it. Pictures. It's a good mass market game, but probably not for gamers.
Yeah, indeed.
Right, beautiful.
Move on.
Half time. We will see you very well. You'll hear from us very shortly.
We have given you 4 games now, as Ronan just mentioned in the downtime there.
Don't tear out the 4-4.
I am tearing out that 4-4.
That was an editing comment, Sean.
They were the bigger games in this episode. We've got some smaller games now that we can talk about. So this half will be a little bit quicker, we think.
I didn't know this was a smaller game. I'm going to tell you the truth now. I was on Twitter one day, and I think a few of us have been. You can get in a bit of a funk. And someone was talking about there's a new Alexander Pfister game out. It's a dice roller called Monster Expedition. And I said, I have a bar of that. And then I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I started schlooping around. There's English rules on BGG. You can get it from Amazon.de. I was like, an unusual Pfister that's hard to get. That's me fisting all the way. I'm going to grab that. And I did. And it turns out it was a small game, Sean.
In every single way?
Every single way. It was a shock to me. It's from Amigo Spiel. 1 to 4 players, 30 minutes long. Average rating of 2... not an average rating of 2.22. That would be terrible.
That would be terrible. That wouldn't be good at all.
Depth rating of 2.22 out of 5, which overshoots it by about 2.
I was going to say like 0.2, surely.
That, I think, suggests that it's heavier than Calico. Did you think more during Monster Expedition than Calico?
It was a bit fiddly.
Was it? I think so.
I thought it was. It was twisting the cards and stuff.
Twisty. Yeah. You have a big hands.
You have.
Now, that's our Irish accent bit of every episode.
Squeeze it. But we did do it. We go into it naturally.
Of course. Raise them around it. What do you want us to do? Right, glorious. What are you doing? You're taking a turn. There are 7 monsters available plus a special card. They have a difficulty and one of 3 terrains on them, or some of them are in all terrains. You have 3 base camps, based one of them in each of those terrains, be it forest, based in forest, sea, or desert. Where you are in the base camp, they've got 8 levels that you can rise up through, and they tell you how many dice you are about to roll. You are going to pick up those dice, and you're going to roll them, and you're attempting to get to the difficulty value of whatever monster you have decided you're going to go for amongst the 7 available. Keep that in your head, though. That's a secret. No one needs to know that just yet. When you roll the dice, you choose one of the values that has been rolled, and you bank all the dice with that value. And then you can choose to keep them, and that's your score. And if you can claim a monster of that difficulty or lower, you grab it. If you wish to carry on going, you can push your luck and you can roll your dice again. Bank a number, carry on going. However, if you get to a point where you cannot bank because you've only rolled numbers that are already in the bank, or that'll be about the only way, really. You haven't rolled a number? I don't really... Yeah. Okay. Then you will lose 1 die out of the bank off the highest value, and then you get to choose whether to hunt then or to carry on rolling. Okay. To note that where you go from will give you access to 1 special die, where it is still a D6, but it's got different values on there. They're not 1 to 6. So that's part of your decision about how likely certain numbers are to come up. Once you've stopped, you say, okay, I'm going to get one of these dice. Get one of these cards. When you grab a card, it's going to score you a certain number of points at the end of the game. Everyone can see that. Mm-hmm. It's also probably going to give you a special power. You can collect sets of them for different terrains, which will allow you to roll more dice every time you go hunting. Some of them will allow you to upgrade your base camps. I said there are different levels of them, and the higher you go up in level, the more base dice you will start with rolling off. So you've got a chance of getting higher, but you're also more likely to roll the same number again. Okay, some of them, when you roll certain numbers on the special dice, usually, that will allow someone to upgrade one of their camps, because depending upon where you are in player order, when certain numbers are rolled, you will be able to automatically upgrade your camp, again, allowing other players, that's about the only interest they have on your turn, is one, what you're hunting, and secondly, have you rolled their special number. Some of the monsters, when you take them, have got cages on them, and they allow you to take a cage or steal a cage. What are cages, Sean?
I know what this explanation is, making it sound way bigger than it is.
Okay, good. I'll finish it off quickly. Cages are face down monsters. All monsters when they're face down are a cage. It means you draw from the top of the deck. The deck is a certain number of cards, limited, and that's how the game is going to be timed. When that deck of cards runs out, the game will be finished. The cage stays face down to the end, and when you flip it over, you score points for it, but it is a reduced number of points. However, you might be getting something for free. Also, you'll note I said there's a special card at the beginning of 7 monsters. If you roll very high, you can go to the monster hunters and grab a load of cages. And again, you don't know what you're going to score, but you like to score more than just killing 1 monster. The higher value the monster, the more you're likely to score. Sean?
Ronan.
It is all about that dice, push your luck system. It is definitely the best part of it. Start there, second point to come.
The dice push your luck system. It does what it says on the tin, Ronan. It's a bit of a Yahtzee, push your luck. I suppose you are taking into account other people, what will score them, their little bonuses. So if I have rolled a 5 and one of Ronan's upgrades on a 5, maybe that's not the one I want to bank for the round. So yeah, there's a little bit of thinking, but not a terrible amount, Ronan.
Oh, I didn't say it was thinky. I said it was the best part.
No, I've only played this one once. Ronan's played it multiple times.
Just one multiple.
So I've got basically most of mine are questions, Ronan. In terms of the game,
you're not going to let me do my second part of the dice.
No, I'm not.
Okay, you do the questions and we'll come back to it.
Okay, we'll do that.
Hit me.
In terms of the game length, how long would you say the average game in your experience has lasted?
25 minutes, 20 minutes.
That's fine. I'm allowing that.
Okay, good, thanks.
Okay.
I feel like this is going to become a test.
And the other question is for the right at the end.
Okay, all right. Questions was an exaggeration.
It was. There are questions.
Okay.
But there was only one.
Split. Now I'm stressing. Right. Yeah. But the thing about that dice rolling system, Sean, is that it's best at the end of the game when you're rolling more dice. And you don't get to roll very often, very many dice. So you just get to the bit where you're like, oh, this is more fun. I'm pushing my luck and going after the bigger monsters, and the game will end on you.
Right, yep, okay, that would
okay.
A bit of a party pooper.
Yeah, part of the interaction is that quite a few monsters allow you to steal cages. means everyone's going to attack the perceived leader, because you can see a lot of what people have got, or they're rolling more dice, if their camps are upgraded. So that becomes a bit of that, which is fine in a short, but it's not that interesting or clever.
Does it play 2 players?
Yeah, it plays 1 player.
Does it?
Yeah.
But 2 players would be rubbish, because you just be
Just take it off each other, yeah. I mean, you're just kind of accepting it then. I accepted when I played with the girls that they were going to steal my cages whether I was winning or not. Here's my question to you. I'm not sure I'm able to answer it. Is that I got it purely on the name of Pfister. Where is the clever top designer bit to this game? What separates it? What's any different than anyone else with a design like this?
I don't think there is. I got the impression that he was just making a silly, fun game that families could play together. I got that impression from it.
That's definitely the idea. It's sort of a thematic sequel, sort of Carnival of Monsters, which was a hit in Germany. This is for the German family audience. More for me for not doing more research. I just got excited and bought it. But you expect a little twisty twist.
Yeah, when you got someone with his pedigree, you do expect, that's very clever, and you can see the Fister coming through in it. The Fister.
No, don't gesture like that. Gesture like that. I always say jester for gesture. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, curly toes. I'm having fun. I'm going to do a little comparison for you. That is one of our favourites. Dice fishing. Dice fishing is fun from the first roll. You're having the crack.
You are. Yeah.
This.
Yeah, I think the magic in dice fishing is working out what everyone else is going to put into the.
But whatever it is, in general, the fun starts from the first second. In this, it's kind of standard, especially once you played it a few times. You're just going through the moves until you work out which one your base camp is going to accelerate, and then you hope that big value monsters, because the monster deck retreats until someone gets a cage, so you have fewer available. You hope the big ones come out from the terrain you're good in. And if they do, then great, you go after them. If they don't, then you can't. So, in the end, Sean, your question, and we'll sum up on Monster Expedition.
I think you've pretty much said it. Is it a keeper? Was going to be my question. Are you keeping it in your collection?
Niet.
Nope.
You?
Well,
you don't own it. The question was your sum up, not that you're going to keep it. Have you stolen it?
I might have. I just when I first started playing it, I felt a little bit fiddly with the twisting around of everything and trying to keep on top of everything. Then once I got into the game, I didn't dislike it, Ronan. It was fine. I was enjoying myself. We were having the crack, but there was nothing amazing about it. There was nothing that sort of made me think, oh, I'll get this even for playing with James. So yeah, it's a bit of a meh for me, I'm afraid.
I said it's okay. It's not memorable. It's bargain bin stuff. I can see this being available when we finally go back to Essen for €5 or something. It's worth picking up for that. It's worth as a chuck in on an order. You'll get a few games out of it. It's not world changing. To be honest, Alexander, I don't know why your name's on there, mate. I think you might let like a mate design it because it misses the magic. So that's Monster Expedition for me. But Sean, you are about to review us a top 200 game on BGG.
I am, and it also made my list of the best of 2019. It was my best artwork.
It did.
And it's Parks, the 1 to 5 player game, coming from Henry Audubon and Keymaster Games. So in Parks, the players are hikers in the US national parks. And effectively, you set up a trail of tiles, and each of the tiles is going to give you an action when you land on it, which whether that resources or gather cards, what have you. And you're going to move 2 meeples of your colour along this trail, along with the other players who will also have 2 meeples in their colour. Now you can't go on the same tile as another player, and once you've gone forward, you can't return. So you can only progress forward. So if a player's in front of you, they're blocking that tile. You have to jump over them. That's the essence of the game. Why are you doing this? Well, you're gathering those resources to get park cards, and you pay in the park cards. Once you get to the end, you've got the opportunity to pay in the resources and get those park cards, and they're going to score you points at the end of the game. There are some other things going on. There are canteen cards, which give you your own personal action where you can pay water onto it to get resources. You've got gear, which allows to break the rules slightly or gives you a boon, and you can get multiple of those into your tableau. There's a camera in the game that allows you to take photos, and photos are little bonus points at the end. But that's genuinely pretty much all that's going on, Ronan. It is stunning. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The reason I got this game was purely for the art. I absolutely adore the art style. But what I didn't do my research on was whether there was a game in there at all. So I'll let you speak now.
I did my research on there's a game in it. And I know that you often like to label me with this moniker, but I'm going to bounce it back onto Parks.
Oh, go on then.
It's much like me, it's a honey trap.
I think so. Both yourself and Matthew, in the episode, I think, of the best of 2019, both told me that there wasn't enough to this game.
It was an uninformed opinion. We never played
It wasn't uninformed.
But having read the rules...
Completely with Matthew, because he just heard Mike Delisio liked it and he looked at it once. And he said, nah, not for me. But yeah, it's very, very basic play, Ronan. Really basic. You're just moving along a track. Now, that track extends... So the track represents a season. And that extends every season by one tile. So you've got one more action as you go, as you're moving along. But the game really kind of limits your opportunities to mix things up. Like, you've only got so much opportunity to get gear, is it's the card that mixes things up. You've only got so much opportunity to get canteens and use those canteens. So you're kind of just on this sort of very linear track. Where you progress into the end of that track. It happens very quickly, and if you've got enough resources, you get to buy a card.
I put on my hat that says confirmation bias in action and went through the comments section. So I only have things here that confirm what I thought.
Right, fair enough.
From what you're saying, I've sort of taken comments that came through from several comments, because this is number 159 on BGG. It's lunacy. But what the naysayers were saying was too balanced, or balanced to the point of blandness, whereby the reason the actions aren't interesting is because they don't make that much difference in the end.
Not really. So because you've got two meeples, two hikers. If you really want the tile that gives you sort of two sunshine or whatever it is, then if someone's blocking that, then you just go ahead with your other meeple and you wait with the other one. So you'll get there.
Right.
You've just got to be patient. It's very rarely that somebody will block it out twice. So yeah, there's not that tension on whether you're going to get to that tile.
There's a lot of stuff about it doesn't really shine until you get at least 4 players because of that lack of tension otherwise. Any thoughts on would more players make it better? Because I think you've only played it 2 or 3 player.
Yeah, I've only played it 2 and 3. Yeah, you're right. I think it would. I think that's probably... But I think it would probably veer into frustration then, rather, because you're just blocked for everything, and you've kind of your
the energy's literally draining out of you as you talk about this game.
It's
like it'll just be, don't be. It's all right. You've wasted your money on worse.
You'd be blocked for pretty much everything, and your choices would be made for you. I think in a 4-player game, you can't. Yeah, there's 2 tiles open. One of them's right at the other end, and I don't want to waste that, so I'll go to the one nearest to me. That's my choice. So yeah, I think 4 would be difficult in different ways.
Okay, this is why I'm worried about the community as a whole. All right, because I saw a number of 8 and 9 ratings on there, and I'm like, okay, I will look for what they're telling me. What's the magic? What's the special? What can I say to Sean? Is this good? Does this sound? And the 3 things, right, that came up again and again and again on 8 and 9 ratings for this game were: the art's amazing.
Yep.
Got that. Mm. I love the facts that are on the cards. Interesting.
Right, so they are all genuine US national parks. They're all real places.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to give a game 8 or 9. Okay. And lastly, and this is possibly as much as the art I mentioned, it's an amazing insert, Sean.
It is. It's got game trays.
Yeah, great. That's why I give a game 8 or 9.
It's a wonderful production.
Yeah.
What you've got in the box, production-wise, is fantastic. What you've got in the box, game-wise and gameplay-wise, is a game that gives you little bits of good mechanisms. So it gives you a little bit of that blocking and that progressing as far as you want, but never been able to come back. It gives you a little bit of resource collection. It gives you a little bit of getting those unique cards into your hand, but it doesn't give you enough. It doesn't give you enough of any of them to make it interesting to me.
Parks, not for me.
Parks, it's in my collection. It probably won't be very soon. I will be sad.
Parks is amazing. They're coming in February. A bargain price.
In February, yeah. I will be sad to see it go because it is absolutely gorgeous. I wouldn't mind getting somebody else.
If I read one more time that this is a gorgeous game, I don't care.
Right, it's a gorgeous game.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, thanks.
Right, go on. What's your last game, Ronan?
I'm sticking us in the time machine, Sean. Back to a game that you reviewed, but I want to talk about it again because I've heard such wildly swinging things about it. I thought, God damn it, the world needs a 1,000th opinion on Horrified.
I can't remember what I said about it. I think I was meh, but I can't remember.
A bit meh, and then I was a bit cynical because I'd heard so many good things about it. And this one, after Parks being number 159 on BGG, this is 190. Another top 200 game. So I was like, Sean, you're being a misery. I asked him afterwards, did you play it when you were tired? Did it not go well? Were you in a grump? Was it, is it one of those things? Because I'd heard such good things about it. It's Horrified. Prospera Hall from Ravensburger, 1 to 5 players, 60 minutes, depth 2.04. So again, light end of light medium.
Yeah.
Lighter than Monster Expedition.
No.
I'd say it's a 2. I think that's right, and the other ones need adjusting.
I think it's about 1.7.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, you're very precise. Okay. So, it's been covered before. So, here's my thought on it. The theme. So, the theme is going to get it a lot of attention. Yeah. And I like the theme, especially around Halloween and wintertime and spooky and all the stuff of it.
Yeah.
But to me, playing the game thrashes the theme out of it for many reasons.
I thought the monsters were thematic in what they did and how they went about their business.
I don't think how they went about their business. I think how you defeat them, and sometimes those event cards. The event cards are the most thematic bit. That you'd put a Dracula card, and if Dracula was in the game, he would suddenly disappear, or he'd vaporise, or he'd appear somewhere else, or he'd mesmerise, charm someone, or the Invisible Man would suddenly start doing tricky things. Or those cards were definitely the most thematic bit. In terms of what they actually do in the game, they all do the same thing. They all walk to you and eat you. And that's where the theme fell down a bit for me, and in other areas as well. I'm going to go back to what we said about pictures, in terms of judging this as a mass market game.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
In terms of a standard mass market game, very good.
Yeah, I think it brings co-op play to the masses and gives them an understanding of cooperative play.
Okay. In terms of a gamer's game, I have many, many problems with it. And this is where like the gamey snobbiness comes in, because we've played lots of games, we have standards, and this does not match them at all. And the first thing is huge issues with the player count. The difficulty swings ridiculously. If you've got lots of players, 4 or 5 players, you just have a rotating tank. If a couple of players go around picking up every item they can, and then they go and stand in the middle and draw the monsters to them, and they just speed off items while another one goes and picks up, and the other guys can get on with winning the game.
Yeah.
If you've got 2 or 3 players, especially 2 is ridiculously hard. Like 2, even with 2 monsters, is really, really hard.
Yeah, it is.
That's no good. That's not good design.
We played 3-player and we found it quite tricky, and we're gamers.
The enraged monster mechanism. So, I said there's these event cards, you put them out, and they tell you what monsters activate, and it's balanced of how many, and the monster who's had an event will never then activate an attack, because all of them that activate move towards the nearest target, be it a player or a villager, tries to eat them. If it gets to a villager, it will automatically eat them, and your loss track will go up 1. If it gets in the loss track, you've lost. If it gets to a player, you'd have to start chucking items away that you need to defeat the monsters. Every monster needs 2 stages done with all these items. So, the enraged monster thing, whereby the enraged monster goes again, means the monsters can trigger twice, is a rubbish mechanism. Because it removes any planning or hope, or if we just keep 2 away from these guys, it's less likely they'll get us. The enraged one went again and jumped across. It's jumped halfway across the map, and we just couldn't avoid it. There was no way. I
remember disliking the villager appears mechanism, because if they appeared next to you, great. Yeah, I'll escort them and I'll be grand. If they appeared next to the monster and the monster activates, chomp, They're gone before you can influence them.
You've made that point for me.
Thank you.
Jolly good. 100% agree. And my last one was that, I was talking about the theme getting ruined is because the map's too tight. So it doesn't allow for clever play because suddenly everyone's on top of each other. And where you've got to go to get things, or where you've got to lead the villagers, will take you near to the monsters, and they all congregate towards the middle generally, and you can sort of try and lead them away a bit, but they'll end up coming back to the middle anyway. And you can't lead them away with 2 or 3 players because you can't spare the actions. So that's what really bogs it down for me. And in the end, my first play, I liked it because I was charmed and there was ideas, and we played it 4-player, and it worked much, much better 4-player. I think it is easily the only, in fact, playable play count, and I rarely say that about a game. 4-player is the only playable play count for Horrified. But the flaws quickly showed, and this is not a good game. It's okay at Halloween. I think that it must be getting rated from 1 or 2 plays because it has got no legs, and soon all those problems start shining through.
Yeah, I mean, we found it really repetitive. We found like we were doing, even with the thematic side of the monsters and the different ways you kill them, the basic
thing.
Yeah, the basic things you're doing is the same over and over and over and over again.
You're collecting items and spending them. No matter what the theme says it is, that's all you're doing.
And yeah, we lost our interest after about 2, maybe 3 games. And the telling thing for me was not myself. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm a gamer. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe it's a victim of the hype, and I thought it was going to be great, and maybe I've come at it a bit too harsh. But it was when I got a trade offer. I said to James, because it was effectively his game, because I bought it to play with him. I said, I've got a trade. Someone's offered me a really good game that I like for Horrified. What do you think? And he was like, I don't particularly like it, Daddy. Get rid.
Fair enough.
So and that was it. Like, yeah, okay. If he didn't see the beauty in it and the magic, then he's kind of lost.
It became frustrating and too random. And I know whether people say, "Oh, you're boring," you have to understand the story, enjoy the story. A story has to develop. It can't just be random events happening all the time. That's the worst sort of co-op, and that's what this came, especially with that Enraged Monster. Horrified didn't quite horrify me. I would play it again, but at Halloween on a full moon in a good mood.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I concur. So our last game, Ronan, it's a hot game.
Do you really want to hurt me?
No, you've lost me.
Keep going.
Do you really want to make me cry?
Yeah.
Okay.
You made me play this.
Oh. This one broke, Ronan. It's Scoville, 2014 release, 2 to 6 players. Designed by Ed Marriott and coming out of Tasty Minstrel Game Studios. So, what are we in Scoville? We are pepper farmers, and we are hired by the town to create the hottest peppers in which to enter competitions and sell. Now, the gameplay it's another one of those games in this episode, Ronan, that are very easy teachers, and some of them go on to be quite simple games, and this way it goes the other way. It's quite a thinky mind.
Most of it is an easy teach. There's a part of it that's very unintuitive, but we'll get to that.
But yeah, so basically what you start off by bidding for pepper cards, and that gives you your basic peppers into your hand, into your tableau. Then you get to plant a pepper. Now the player order is twisting left, right and centre, so the bid goes in one way and sets the player order. Then you plant a pepper in that player order, and you have to plant a pepper on a board which represents a pepper field or a allotment or something, and you have to place it adjacent to another pepper that's already on the board.
It's a shared board. So
it's a shared board where everyone's all planting on the same board. Then you get to harvest peppers. Now you move 3 steps around the peppers around the field, and you are collecting peppers that you move between. So if there's a pepper on both sides as you move between that space, you get to collect a pepper. Now it's not necessarily the pepper colour that you've gone between, because different peppers combine to make different colours and hotter peppers, and that's how you're going to build up to the hottest peppers and the different colours by crossbreeding them. That's
how
done
we got
in.
you.
Yeah, that's exactly how you do it, me. With a pig, a llama, and a whale.
Jesus Christ! Do you need a hug?
And that's done in reverse order, Ronan.
That is.
And then back in the player order, you've got fulfillment, and that's when you get to either sell your concoctions or your groupings of peppers, or you enter a competition and you put together a certain concoction that's going to make a nice chili for people to eat. The cards coming out in morning and evening, so the morning cards are your basic peppers. The evening cards start to ramp up a little bit as the game progresses. I found it very easy to learn and get into, Ronan, but as I've already said, that didn't necessarily set the tone for what the game became.
It's a trap.
It's a trap!
This caused me so much pain. This hurt my head.
We've talked about this. I've got my theories on why. You don't agree with them, but I've got my theories on why.
It's so much to think about. It's just complete. Oh, I am not alone here. I went and looked in the comment section again. The two letters AP are littered throughout the comments. Something about AP ruining the game. I don't know about that. Sean would have to comment on that, but I think, Sean, that I don't get AP that often. I think I'm usually quite quick at playing games. I died in this game.
I think people who are good at maths, well, the people who are going to struggle at this game because they want to solve the puzzle, and it is a solvable puzzle. And you, no, I mean, this is you were always growing up. Maths was your strong point. You were in the top percent.
Stop.
Well. But this is my point. I think you tried to solve the puzzle here, and I think it was solvable, but you had to work hard to do it. And it was late at night. We were tired, and all of a sudden, this massive maths conundrum comes your way, and you tried to solve it, and I think it very nearly broke you.
What does Paget call it? Because it's Spock brain.
Spock brain.
It's an episode of Star Trek. I think I mentioned before. Kirk has to go inside Spock's brain, and Spock's brain is so complicated. There's so much stuff going on that he just freezes up. He can't cope, and that's what it's called when you get this in a game where you're trying to calculate too many things at once. But it's simple things. It's the way they all combine together. The first thing is that turn order mechanism is genius, and I could not work out what the right answer was. Did I want to plant first? Did I want to harvest first? Should I hang around in the middle? Was it worth my money? Not worth my money? Because I want to keep my money to buy cards.
Everything, every step of the game, you're thinking ahead. Every step of the game, you're thinking, right, if I plant first, then I get to sell first. But what am I going to be left with? What does Rachel want? What does Sean want? Then what will I be left to be able to harvest? Because I'm going to harvest last. And you can block each other.
So this is the next thing that's agonising. Because if you're harvesting last, people can block you.
They can. You're not allowed to go through or be on the same space as somebody else.
And someone might stand in there with the only... It might not be the highest one, but it might be the colour that I need.
Desperately need.
And they are standing there.
And I think most of the time we know that. You know that. You kind of get a feeling for what people are going for by the peppers they're gathering.
Just circling you, trying to get to the place that can get a white pepper, and you're just like, oh, I've ended up here again.
Now, you could play this very nice and everyone go off to their own little corner, but that would take...
You never get good peppers, though.
Yeah. You want to piggyback on other people.
Absolutely, but preferably at a distance of one space from where you want to be, because then you're worried about where they're going, and you're worried about what they're after, and will they get that one space. But where they plant gives you an indication of where they want to go, but it's too late then because the turn order's set. So in slow motion, you're getting murdered because they plant. You go, and then you're having to reset the spot brain again, going around and around and around.
But there is a hierarchy of pepper, so the pepper
is there, or is it just complete? What it gives what colour?
Oh no, but yeah, to make the different colours is like, well, okay, but you do get a handy dandy little.
Is it handy or is it what is that? Wow.
But like the clear, there's clear, there's black, white, brown, what have you, and that's kind of the hierarchy. Clear, then black and white are kind of similar. Then brown's a step down. But brown doesn't really give you much in terms of combining with the other peppers. But it is present on lots of the cards that you want to buy from.
Yeah.
So, but the clear ones are the ones...
You want the black and white to breed, but you want the browns to score points. And
the clear ones you want for the big scoring in the competition.
That's right. Well, the first person to collect one gets a big bonus.
That's another thing to think about. this first person to plant one. So you might have it there.
Plant one.
But do I really want to plant it? Because that's not the colour I need if I plant this one. So do I want those points, or do I want to play for the longer game? Yeah, there is a lot.
I have a couple of issues with the colours. Mm-hmm. First one is that thing. So you get a cross-reference chart where the colours go across the top and down the side, and you cross across them and say, oh, that's what the colour the two of them make together. It wasn't intuitive in certain cases what colour would be created.
No, we were still looking at the end of the game as much as the beginning.
As much as you never got used to it. Yeah. Because there's so many options and they don't make sense. They don't follow a pattern.
I concur.
And so much of this follows a pattern that you're still looking for a pattern to be there. Now, there is a pattern, don't get me wrong. It's just not an intuitive one. The second part, I'll say, Sean, now, I see you've written down that the peppers change in size as they become hotter, which is a nice touch, but some of the colours were quite close to each other.
They are, but I think brown, maybe brown and purple.
Red and brown and purple and orange are all a bit.
Yeah, I didn't think it didn't.
You have the eyes of a hawk.
I have the eyes of a hawk, but that's why I like the schedule, the gradual size of them.
But I can tell the 2mm difference. Like when I got them, I can see, that crystal is clearly a lot bigger than red or whatever the littlest one is, but a little bit.
And there was also another little cheeky way of getting stuff into your hand was you could, as a free action on your turn, you could pay in a colour of pepper, and that pepper would be worth
as much as there are planted. Half of what
is planted there. So you could absolutely rinse, get as many red on the table, and then bring in red into your tableau. And then that's another way of getting points. And
I think that's money. Like if I'm not involved here in the big chilies and I've got behind and I don't have the blacks and the whites and I'm not building up the big, I think that's the way in which you look at doing it. And we all did it at a certain point because there happened to be lots of blues out.
Yeah.
But I can see that, but you're relying on the other players to do it. And another nice bit of interaction. Ready to sum up?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. So what did you? I actually don't know what you think of this because you were so broken when you went to bed that night.
It is right. So I really liked the interaction in it. Mm-hmm. I really liked the agony of the decisions in it. Mm-hmm. I really liked the level of thinking. I loved how clever the turn order was. I didn't love how points were scored, and generally I weight that quite highly in a game.
Yeah. Okay.
It wasn't the best for me, but the strength of the mechanisms themselves carried it through. I mean, I was broken, but I quite liked being broken, and you know that about me. So I liked Scoville a decent amount. I want to play it enough so that I'm no longer struggling with what breeds into what, and I'm not fighting the rules. I can then concentrate all of my Spock brain onto the actual puzzle of it, the extensive, dynamic, turn order laden puzzle of the game to enjoy it. So I don't think it's got the potential to become a great for me, but I think it was a very good game and I enjoyed Scoville a lot.
I wanted this game for so long. I forgot what it was even about. I knew it was about peppers, but I'd forgotten about the mechanisms and what have you in it. And then I finally got it in a mass trade. I always went for a mass trade. And I was so surprised at how easy it was to learn and how easy it was to get into. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it, Ronan. I loved the puzzles. I quite like the scoring mechanisms in that you know what you're going for, and it's a bit of a race to those higher scoring cards, and you can see what people are going for, and you can either take them on in the race or you can adjust and maybe go for 2 lower value cards, which is what you did really successfully in the game we played. You went for lots of lower value cards, whereas myself and Rachel were racing for the 20-point jobs, which only one of us could get because we were pushing each other for them. So I like that. I did like that about it. I like the morning and afternoon aspect to it. The morning is quite not relaxed, but the morning sets you up. But
definitely not relaxed.
The morning's more relaxed than the evening, and when the evening comes along, the game's really getting towards a finish anyway, and the game can actually finish. Didn't even say it can finish in the morning if enough cards go from the tablet.
Doesn't seem that likely, but
it's not likely, but it can finish. And yeah, I'm going to stop rambling. Scoville, I really enjoyed. Myself and Natalie both like it. We liked it even at 2 players. Probably a bit nicer to each other with 2 players, but all player counts. I really think it's a strong game. It's going to stay in the collection. It will not be coming to you in the sale in February.
The grand sale of amazing
The
games.
grand sale.
This one's too bad to make the sale, Sean. Shh. You P.T. Barnum him last episode.
I did.
Can I still be Zach?
No.
You can do what you do, but I can... You're not going to sing the great show with me. This podcast is over. That's that. Okay. Those are the 8 reviews. Should we get on to our other business? I'm going to kick you in with Kickstarter.
I thought you were going to kick in with the million games you've bought in the
I'm
last
saving
month.
that. I'm not even going to mention them all. I think it would be rude. But Kickstarter, Christmas, I now have 3 birthdays in the next 4 weeks to deal with in my house. I have kickstarted nothing.
I was in the same boat until yesterday, Ronan, when I had a little cheeky kickstart with Darwin's Journey. Now, babe, it did not appeal to me initially, purely by the look of the game. It looks very mechanical. There's not really a lot of artwork going on. There seems to be lots of different boxes and grids, and I was like, no, that's not for me. Then I started looking at reviews and listening to people talking about it.
Was there hype for a Kickstarter game?
There's hype. There was hype. And then I looked at who was involved in the designing, and one name stood out to me. It's Simone Luciani, who has done... I'm looking at 2 of his games right here, Lorenzo Il Magnifico and Grand Austria Hotel. There's a bit of pedigree there. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go in for now. I'm going to do a bit more research, but for now, I think I'm in.
You're in?
I'm in!
Right.
I'm in, Race.
I know what you're saying. I really like designers. That, you know the old Scotland whiskey and sheep. This one for me is also a little bit... I'm not that... It doesn't tickle me as much.
Yeah.
I don't mind a bit of Aegis Sail, mate. I read a good book about the bounty. Well, the subject matter was fascinating. The book wasn't great.
It didn't tickle me. It didn't tickle me, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's FOMO.
Okay, probably. I am going to go through most of the games I got in the last month.
Right, I'll just go to bed, shall I?
No. Stay here and support me. But bought some of them, was lucky enough to get some as presents. There's a fair old list. I won't go too long into them. And some of them are being reviewed shortly, including Sean's very excited because he got it for Christmas as well. Dwellings of Eldervale.
Oh, yeah, I can never work out what it is.
It's Dwellings of Eldervale. Yeah, let me read it. Yes, that's what it is. Okay, good. He says something to do with those 2 words, and I know what game he's
I always
about.
say Elverdale.
Veilings of Rivendell. Yeah, okay, got it. Good, thanks. That's coming in our next review episode. I've only played it once so far, so I need to catch up with Sean, who's played it more. We have got differing opinions, and that's all I'm going to say.
So far, yeah, we do.
Yes, but we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is Lost Ruins of Arnak. You were kind enough to teach Rachel, who taught me.
Yeah, I think...
I'm your grandchild.
I didn't get any abuse.
No,
so
weird.
I think I might have actually taught it right this time.
There was a couple of things wrong, but don't worry, they're only minor. So that is also getting reviewed next episode, so we're not going to say too much about that.
And I got that as well for Christmas.
You did, so we both got those. I have got a game arriving tomorrow that you bought at Essen, at Pretendi Essen. Praga Caput.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be reviewed, not next episode, but it's going to be coming up because we both got it. I'm excited. That's a Vladimir Sushi little number. Mm-hmm. We're looking at Shipyard.
Yep.
Okay. Red Cathedral. I managed to get hold of a copy. I've been sniffing at that for a while.
That's another one that's completely sold out everywhere.
Yeah, lucky to get hold of that. A De Vere game, quickish Euro in which you're building, I'm guessing it's St. Basil's Cathedral. Is that the right one? The old one in the Kremlin. It's a very old cathedral, lovely building. I think St. Basil's. Okay. Dune Imperium is 3 episodes away for a review. Mm-hmm. I've had to put Sean back so I can't play all these heavy games all in one go.
No, we might have to invite Natalie in for that one.
Okay.
She has thoughts.
Okay, that's all we'll say. So we both got a copy of that. A Kickstarter turned up. Waste Night 2nd edition.
Oh, did it? Oh, I was quite excited about that, Ronan.
Yeah, you were quite excited.
I was. I missed out on the Kickstarter, and I was quite happy that you'd got it.
That is going to be in the Dune Imperium.
I had a couple of Kickstarters. If I could just divide your
7% into my list. Yeah, go on.
So I got a game that you weren't really fussed about, but I got the giant version of it, which was Meeple Circus.
Oh, Jesus.
Amazing. It came in a wooden crate.
Oh, mate, do you know that's a 9 then? It's got a great insert and facts about national parks.
The insert, it's got those kind of foamy miniature
I don't
inserts.
care.
I do. Shut your mouth. But yeah, we love ourselves a bit of Meeple Circus, and it's just made better. It's just huge components now. It looks awesome. And we got the Anachrony big box that stores everything and the expansion that goes with it.
Isn't that, like, ridiculous?
It's like a massive box. I could almost live in.
Unstorably big.
It's very big.
Yeah, I saw the size of it and I was like, wow. So I've just got base Anachrony.
And I'll tell you what, it barely fits in it.
Are you ever going to play all that stuff, though?
Probably because...
Are you going to get overload? Because like you look at it and you go, like, this is too much stuff.
Maybe, but at the moment it's probably Nat's favourite game in the world.
Okay.
So she's desperate to play it more, so...
I am an old cynical man about getting that many things for a game. I just listened to the episode of Dice Tower where Tom has Jeremy on because Eric's just moving.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom is talking about Kickstarters, and he says, I may as well go in. I may as well go in a bit more. Oh, for the sake of getting easy punches, I may as well get the whole lot. And that's ending up on a whole lot. And Tom was saying, sometimes he wishes he'd only gone in for the base game to find out whether he likes it first, rather than having these huge boxes in his house. And I'm so even more and more going on that.
Then with Marvel Unlimited, he only went in for the base game, and he's gutted.
He's beaking, yeah. But the number of times you're gutted, the number of times if you're like, I can't even open that box because I haven't got time to sort all the stuff out. I've only got a certain amount of time to play a game.
I have to admit, especially with Cool Mini or Not, I can't have another massive Cool Mini or Not or something like that turn up because I just don't have the space anymore.
Ragnarok.
Apart from Ragnarok, Ragnarok gets a pass on everything.
Okay, I'm only going to do a few more. I know I'm not meaning to boast.
I'm stealing Hallertau, by the way. Is that on your list?
I think I mentioned it before because I've had it for. I think I got it around S&E.
Oh no, it doesn't matter. It's not yours anymore.
Is it hard to get?
I don't care. I can't afford it. So I'm stealing yours.
Hallertau is in the plans for being reviewed, but again, down the
I haven't played it yet, but I can almost guarantee you from watching playthroughs by various people that would have been in my top 5 Uwe Rosenberg games.
That is a big shout for a game you've never played.
It is. And
we haven't reviewed it.
And it looks amazing. I'm desperate for it.
Okay. Well, you'll get to play it, but not yet.
Yeah, I'm stealing it. It's gone.
Okay. You're not. Sean got the family a present, and Prospero Hall was talking about Horrified. You got us Last Defense, a real-time defendy game.
Yeah, it was supposed to be just for like a Christmas day, everyone get together. I thought it'd be a good idea.
They were too busy drinking.
I know.
Yeah.
Lushes.
Well, me. Okay. Our friend Fabio Lopiano is building himself up, and obviously we had to show some support, and I think we both bought a copy of Merv.
Merv, yes, we did indeed. I've played Merv.
It looks nice. That will be to be reviewed.
Yeah, that'll come soon.
I got a couple of trade games. Forgotten Waters came in, was one of them. Plaid Hat.
Yes, I've got that.
Piratey, Book Your... You've got everything. You say Ronan's going to talk about all these games you've got, and you end up having more than I have.
But I do a lot of trading and
buying.
And buying.
Yes. All right. A couple more, Sean, to finish off. There's a Kiesling and Kramer game going around. We did mention them earlier, Paris, that hasn't got much buzz. I don't know whether that's good news, bad news or not, but it's called Renature. It's a tile layer.
Yes, I saw it on your shelf. I didn't know much about it. It's Plastic Soldier Company, right?
Yes. I don't think it's going to get reviewed anytime soon because it's been pushed down by this flood of games, but I'm looking forward to trying it when I do. Last couple, I bought Babylonia for Christmas. It was on my old Amazon wish list.
I've played it. Mr. Jude introduced me to it.
Knizia hybrid of a couple of those games. I'm interested to see how that comes out. Almost an academic sort of thing to be like, how's he used two different sort of styles come together. And the last one I got for Christmas as a present, and I've been trying to talk my gaming friends. We started playing on Board Game Arena a couple of times again. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to talk them into us all getting the app of Root. And playing it and learning it properly because I bought a copy of Root. Now we've talked about it loads, but I have not got to the level of familiarity where we're all playing the game. We're all still playing the rules. Some of them are up for playing Root. Lloyd isn't. I might have to beat him up. I've got it. I've put it on the back shelf, to be honest, because it's no point trying to play it until I get 3 or 4 players who are willing to learn it and play it again and again. Yeah. So I'm happy to have it. The potential of the ability to play it often and learn it it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Whether it actually comes to fruition or
It's one that I would love to play and love to play regularly, but I know I won't, so I won't buy it.
It's hard for you. I don't want to like speak for you, but it's hard for you because when you get together with us, we've always got games to review.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
one game I did forget to mention I got in trade was Mariposas, which had a bit of it was a bit of a hit earlier in the year. Seems to have died away a little bit, so I'm interested.
Butterflies, like butterflies do, see? They die away, it's winter. That might be it.
It's Wingspan Lady, Elizabeth Hargreaves.
Sure.
It looks interesting.
You've tickled me. I want to see how it's rated now. So just fill for a little while. Think of another game.
What's that, Mariposas?
Yeah.
Phil for a little while. I'm looking in front of me at Grand Austria Hotel. Great game. Castles of Burgundy.
This is terrible feeling. This is terrible feeling.
Oh, Tammany Hall got remade, Ronan.
Did it? Just a new reprint?
A new reprint from the people who did Dinosaur Island, and I can't think of their name.
Pandasaurus. They were the ones who brought it out last time.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, I've just got the very old one.
Oh, okay. But
not the original horrible white and pink one. I've got the slightly horrible one.
I don't think they did anything massively to it. I don't think there's.
They didn't last brilliant. They're just the ones who brought it back from the dead. Fair play to them. Tammany Hall, amazing game. We probably haven't mentioned that for 5 years. Just horribly brutal game. Right, Sean. Mariposas is doing fine. It's got a decent rating, not wild. So I'll be interested to hear what you think of that. Our order of business, we have got reviews coming up next time round for the likes of Arnak, Dwellings of Eldervale, Kingdom Rush, and other stuff.
Other stuff, indeed.
Very Strange Far Away.
It's Very Strange Far Away, the latest in the DC Deck Builder collection.
Because you can't get by without talking about it. It's been 6 months.
It's been 6 months, so I need to talk about it.
And then we're going to do something we started last year, and we're going to look back 10 years, and we'll be doing a top 10.
Apparently it's a tradition, Ronan.
I thought we'd done it a few times. Smart arsery over here remembered that we'd only done it once. I could have sworn we'd done it since like 2018 or something. But anyway, whatever. We're going to look back 10 years and do a review of 2011, our top 10s, so you'll really see what's stuck around, what are the best of the best.
I'm looking forward to it. I think that's when things started really ramping up in the game world, around that sort of 20.
Well, that's just for you, they did.
Well, maybe.
So everyone's got a personal thing on it, right? That was the golden era of games. Yeah, because you were discovering all these games. And the first ones you discover in a genre are the ones that stick with you, which is why, we get more critical and stuff again. Although we found some good games this time round.
Yeah.
Especially Calico.
Well, Calico, yeah.
That was the business.
Cracker.
Absolutely. Right, should we let the good people go?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Ronan.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everyone, very much for listening, and we will catch you next time on the Game Pit Podcast.
And we are very proud members of the Dice Tower Network. Go there and to the Dice Tower itself for gaming goodness galore. When this comes out, the Dice Tower Kickstarter should still be up and running. Pop along there if you like what the Dice Tower do. Give them some money, don't give them some money, whatever you want to do. But there's plenty of promos and things up for grabs if you do. We are on social media. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram account, and we're on Twitter at GamePit Podcast. If you wish to download the episodes, you probably already know where to go because you're listening to this, but we're on Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, and something else.
Podbean,
that's
Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts.
We're on stuff.
Yeah. They're listening to it. I don't know why we ever do that.
I don't know why we ever do it. I think we should probably stop.
I don't know why you do
this. This is the last time we're going to do this. There you go.
You stop the whole lot.
Executive decision.
If you want to talk to us, the gamepodcast@gmail.com. Listen to the Dice Tower Network. Thanks, everyone.
No?
That'd be rude. Carry on then, go on.
That'd be rude. I forgot where I was.
Sorry to have broken
You've told them the Gamebit Podcast@gmail.com.
I said that, yeah.
You can also go to our guild.
Don't forget our guild, Sean.
Our guild that's just died a death.
No. We've got some ideas for episodes from it.
We did get some ideas. And again, if you do have any ideas for episodes, top 10s, any questions you've got for us, please give us a shout. We absolutely love hearing from people. We always respond to the several requests
within 6 months.
Within 16 months, we will definitely maybe.
If you're listening, email us with anything.
And thank you very much for listening.
We've definitely both gone early turn.
We'll catch you next time. Music by E. Aaron. Tired boy.